this out. Special delivery. All right, y'all have always been giving me crap about how crappy my lift is. And I know it's a little sketchy, you guys. It's a little uneven. It definitely needs to be serviced. I've had a service folk out here, as you know, 3 times now. And this lift, which I do not own, of course, you know, I'm a renter, and this lift is part of the space that I rent. I've spent over $3,500 getting this serviced just so I can use it. And I've gotten cars stuck on it 4 times now. So while now I kind of feel confident about it, you know, I'm still using it. I've obviously confident enough to put my own Supra on it. I'm really looking forward to having a brand new lift that I can actually trust. That's what's going on today. This is not just any lift. It is a 4-post lift, but it has a few features that make it perfect for why I'm choosing it. And I'm really excited to share that with you, especially a lot of y'all at home DIYers or also renters, people that aren't shop owners, I feel like can really benefit from something like this. So I'm excited to show y'all what's up with this and also show you the process of installing it. Obviously, if you have forklift, something like this would be a lot easier to get off the truck. We're gonna show you how to get this set up and install it at home by yourself, because you do not have to have this professionally installed. You can do all of this by yourself. So that's what we're gonna attempt to do. Here goes. The craftsman and his tools.
That's right.
Now, is there a list online of all the tools that are required to do this job?
There is. Yes. There's a list online, and in our manual, there's a list that shows you all the tools that you need as well.
Awesome. So here we go. I mean, look, you guys, like super basic hand tools. Some clamps, some vice grips, awesome. 27 millimeter, 14, another 14, 3/4, 19. All right, got some sockets. What do we got going on here?
6.
A 6, and it was that an 8? Awesome. And a 30 millimeter socket. So I'm gonna obviously put the link in the description below so you guys can see exactly what tools are required, but look at that, super simple. And we've got our legs. Awesome. And of course we got 2 more in there. Look how well this is packaged, you guys. So I love this. We've got these little stands on the end here that are clearly made just for holding these. The space in between had everything just sort of layered in there, all protected. And it just showed up in one neat little package. The chrysalis.
So we need some kind of a lube, whatever you prefer as far as the lube goes. Wax, because we're going to wax these posts up, because we have an outside slider sleeve that runs on the outside. So we want this to be a real slick surface, just like when you wax your car. We have grease zerks on every one of our axles. And what that does is it lubricates them bushings that are inside there, so you don't have to worry about wear and tear and the thing going bad over time. Longevity, these pulleys will last you as long as you have this lift. And so you'll put the grease gun on the zerk and then give it a few pumps until you feel that it's full. I don't like to put a lot of goop hanging out afterwards, so just enough to where you got a good lube. And usually once a year is what you want to do to keep that lubed up. And then when I put it together, I like to take a little bit of your lube of your choice, and right here on this lock, I like to just put a little bit of, and it gets down, works its way down to that axle, because there's no bushing on this, and there's no grease zerks for this, because it's just a hand lock that you're going to operate. But a little lube just keeps that moving smooth. We're gonna eventually take this and bring it down from the top on these posts, but these locks would be in our way. So what we have to do, we have to put something in there to hold them open. So you can use, I use a piece of metal because I do it all the time. There's, if you want to do what you have supplied in your box, you can take the sliders that we're going to have and you can put in there as well and do the same thing. Now we're going to rotate this, and then just for my sake I take a C-clamp and that just holds that, so now it can't roll on me one way or the other.
Perfect.
It's on my jean. And then I was telling you about these locks, right?
Yep.
So if I can't bring that down through that post because that's going to hit it. So now what I got to do is open that up, and then there's many ways of doing it. I just do a pair of vice grips, lock it, holds it open.
Oh, that explains all the vice grips.
And then we'll bring it down by using the genie. Now, when I was young, Faye, I used to just pick that up and put it on top of that. But them days are gone.
Oh man!
Now, what we're going to do is set this lock on 2, 3, 4, 5, the 5th lock. So I'll pull that wedge out. Now you heard the lock clang in.
Yep.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to set it on the 5th lock. Just a touch. Now we're going to put in our sliders. So you've got one that has got a cutout.
Yep.
That's for the locks, and then you just have 3 regular angles that look the same. So what we're going to do is come over here, and you'll see that we have our locks, right?
Yep.
So this is going to set in there just like that, so that the lock here can operate into the lock hole and this not keep it away. So I'll put that one in first. I'm going to put this one over here. Come back, put these in. Now I have my sliders that are keeping the metal to metal away from each other.
Exactly.
That's why we wax this up, because these sliders now run smoothly up and down the post with that in place. And the thing that makes this lift stand apart from so many others that are out there is the 5x5 post with the steel sleeve that wraps around it. So now we don't have this wiggle wobble that you get with the other type of lifts that are in the market. So this gives you the security and the safety that you want when you're working on your cars.
Absolutely, that was a big concern of mine, especially when I work alone. I've used a lot of these lifts before and some of them just seem really, sketchy. So as you guys know, I work alone a lot of the time, which is great for being able to focus and really pay attention, concentrate on what I'm doing rather than concentrating on what other people are doing. And there's some disadvantages. So I've looked at a lot of 4-post lifts because I did want to get another lift for the shop for quite some time. And everyone that I came across was just seemed a little sketchy in terms of how much movement it had. There were some that I was looking at and we used them at the CarFest volunteer event because they were just set up for the weekend. And man, it made me super nervous with some of the stuff that we were doing. So having something with a feature like this is really important for someone like me.
Another thing is we use 3/4 inch bolts. Instead of, the industry usually uses a 1/2 inch size bolt, and we're using 3/4 inch, so we have no question that this is plenty strong enough for what we're doing. We're gonna put a bolt in the hole. We're gonna put it in here. Then we're just gonna align it to find the holes. I push it while I push it in like this. Now my all lined up. Want this bar on the top. It could be turned the other way to where the bar's down here. And then our flappers that we're going to put on a little bit won't work. So you want to make sure this is level with the top of the runway when you install it.
Got it. Okay, awesome. Yep. There we go. Look how quickly this is going up too. And we were chit-chatting quite a bit and we arrived a little after 9 a.m. We haven't even been assembling this for 2 hours. I don't even know what time it is, but time is flying.
All right, so what we got to do now, Faye, is this track is upside down, so we got to rotate it so it's like this track here on the upside. And the easiest way I've found over the years to do that is with 2 people, you set it and you can rotate it around and 2 guys can do that. Or a guy and a gal, it doesn't have to be 2 guys. Or you can do with this, if you got your material hanging lift, you can put a strap on one end and hook it to the top. And then I have learned ways of doing this as I've gotten older, and somehow I'm not quite as strong as I used to be. I'll let this do the work for me. And so
Oh, that's
this
brilliant.
will just rotate that track for me. When you're doing things by yourself, you find ways to do it.
Absolutely, that is brilliant. All right, so what do we have?
All the little flat washers and these little screws.
Okay, we got little flats and little screws. What's that game, Hungry Hungry Hippos?
Yeah. Okay, what we're gonna do now is these are our clips that hold in our sliders. So, you know, if this bucket was to go down, then sliders could just slide up. So we have to have a stop put on there. So we have a stop that will bolt on here, which will keep these sliders from coming up when you go down. And then on the bottom portion of this, we have a welded tab, so the sliders can't slide out through the bottom. So we have one here, since we've determined that this is the one that the power unit's going to be on.
Yep.
We're going to put the hose right here. So we have a keeper that keeps this hose out of the way of getting smashed or run into. And so we're going to put it here. And see, this keeps this hose up out of the way.
Yep.
Then when this bucket goes up and down, I don't have to worry about it getting underneath the here and getting caught because it's attached from the top. And then we'll go around on all the other 4 posts, and all we have is a little Phillips screw, washer, and a plate. There's 2 of these per post, and that makes it so that slider can't slide out.
Perfect.
So now what we're going to do is connect our hydraulic hose to the runway, and you'll notice underneath here we have 2 nuts on this 90-degree fitting, and that is a 3/4. And I can sit there with my hands and do it, or I can put a socket on there and rip it right off. This is going to go up, and there's a hole that this goes into, and so I have a nut on the back side and I have a nut on this side, and then I'm going to tighten this thing up. That. And now I have my port. If I left this out here during shipping, that could get beat up and damaged, then you wouldn't like that. So that's why we have you put it on. And then we have the hose that will connect to this port, just like so. 3/4 inch or 19 millimeter. And we'll tighten this dude right down. And now this is connected to the hose that runs to the cylinder that gives the power to raise the lift up and down. We already have all our cables pre-routed, which is so nice, where a lot of them you'll just get 4 individual cables thrown in the box, and you got to figure out, they're all different sizes. You got to figure out which ones go where. Well, we've already got ours all mounted to the cylinder, so when you look under here, all the cables are routed.
Yeah.
They're already through all the pulleys, so all you're doing is I'm cutting these zip ties, and you'll see you'll have a cable flop out. This one's going to go to that post, that one's going to go to that post, and on this end, you have them over here to where they'll flop out to each one of their sides, to where this one goes here, and of course that one goes over there.
Oh my gosh.
Makes it super.
So simple.
Now, one thing that's important is we've got to get this shaft through this hole. This is probably the #1 call I get from customers saying, how in the world did you get that through there? And so I can't just back this up like this to try and get the shaft in. There's not enough room for that to happen. So what I have to do is I gotta get me some slack. So I'm going to pull this cable, which will pull that cylinder out a little bit to get me a little more length of cable here. So let me just show you. So now I have some slack to play with, because we use 1/2-inch cables, and they're so sturdy, and it makes it tough to get it through a hole. So now what I'm doing is I'm going to make a U-turn, and I'm going to take the shaft itself right up through here, and it comes right out through the hole, and then I'll just pull it through, and voila.
Oh my gosh.
It comes right through. And that was probably one of the people that have to pull the pulleys out. I got to do all that to get that out. And you don't. You got to pull a little slack, make the U-turn, come back through, pull it out, and it's installed.
This is designed to be easily set up by the at-home DIYer with just a little bit of basic hand tools,
Just so
a little bit of muscle.
Yeah, just so you know, our install business is 10% or less. So 90% of the people that buy these lifts put them together themselves.
Oh, well, I'm still glad that I had you here, because this wouldn't have taken me just a few hours, that's for sure.
So I'm just making the loop again so that the shaft can go right up through and out the top hole.
Here it is.
And then it'll be just pulled through and then thread it through. This is what's called a top cap. This is going to set on top of the post, and so that you can run your cable up through there. Now I want you just to note another advantage with our product is we are a longer shaft that inserts inside the post, so that when the cable pulls down on this, this is covering more coverage
You've
of
got
the post.
all that surface it. Yup.
Much
Awesome.
more strength. We're using 5/8-inch plate, and this is a tube channel that's welded on the inside and then plated on the back side for strength. And so this is a very solid piece. But this is where all the lifting is coming from, so it's got to be a solid piece.
Yep.
Now, there is a left and a right, and so you have to, this is another part that can get confusing, because there is two different types. And so if I set these two here like that, this one has got a cut and then another cut. This one's one continuous cut. So the continued cut over here. So this is a left and a right. So you got to make sure you're putting the right ones in. This continuous flat cut is going to be on the inside. The point points to the other side of the post. So that tells me this goes in this post, so that the flat side's there and the point is going to the back. And this is a real a ladder would be nice, but then our cables will fit right through there.
Awesome.
One of them has 4 holes on it.
Yep.
So that tells me this is the one that's got to go where the power unit's going to be. So we're going to hang the power unit. There's a bracket that hangs from this post. So that tells me this one is going to go this end over here, where we're going to have
So what do we have going on here? We got some bars.
on our lock linkages.
Yes.
So this is all our linkage rods to operate the locks. And so the first thing we got to do is we have an eyelet bolt. It's going to go on the outside. Here with the Vantage, we take this hole. We don't just drill the hole, but we also thread it. So now all you got to do is just turn this eyelet right inside.
Awesome.
And then take the jam nut and come up to it. Just like so. And now we got our eyelet sitting. We'll do that on both ends. We're going to install our linkage for our locks. This 1/4-inch rod, put it through that eyelet that we put in a minute ago. So we first got to take off the jam nut, run it through the eyelet. Put it back on there. It's going to go back. That post down there is going to be our power unit.
Yep.
So now that means the handle is going to be by the power unit. So that rod's going to go to that end, and this rod is going to come to this end.
And there are 2 options you said for where to put the power unit on one of these. And it was that front corner.
This or this one here.
Or this one here.
They're
okay.
diagonal from each other.
Awesome.
And
So
if you think about it, if the power unit's hanging on that post, and I put it on the casters and I just rotate the lift, now it's going to be over here.
exactly.
So there's really only one location it can be, but if you can move it, since we don't have a front or back to the lift, it can be in this position or that position.
So it's choose your own adventure. I love it.
So this rod, we took off our coupling and a jam nut so that we can insert this in through our hole here. And then if you will look under here, you'll see that there is a tube.
Yep.
But I got to make sure that that runs through there as well.
Awesome.
And then our bolts and nuts, we'll take them off. And there's a spacer. That spacer's to keep it for the right distance away.
Right.
So we're not
Oh,
hitting anything.
yeah.
Then we have what's called a Hyman bolt from our bolt package and a little lock washer. So we're going to come over this end here and we're going to put this on. And then I'm going to do a bolt, and then I'm doing the lock washer, which is a spacer between the lock and the Heim. Because if I don't, then I don't have this movement of the Heim if I'm doing that. And then number 6, you can use an Allen wrench. I like the power, and so I use it.
Oh, yeah.
And on this side over here, in your package, you're going to have one that's already got all threaded and ready to go. Put your bolt, your little lock, goes into. And this is just another benefit, Faye, that on these lifts, you'll notice that I'm bolting that right into a threaded lock.
Yep.
Most of them, it's a hole. You stick a bolt in there, then you got to put a lock nut and a washer on the back side of that.
Oh man,
and it
yep.
can come loose and fall out. And I've just learned over the years, this is nice. I put this in, that's done.
Oh, I
It's
love
flex.
it.
I'll never have that coming out of the lock. Now, people say, well, how do you adjust these cable or this linkage so it's right? Well, it's so simple. I'm gonna take this rod. This is our T-bar.
Yep.
And I'm going to be just past. If noon is here, I want to be just past noon. So I'm going to adjust my rods to where they will line up to where the rod is just past noon. And so
Like 12:10, 12:15.
correct. And so then I put a bolt in. I put a washer on the back side again for the spacing. And then I have another flat washer and a nut in the bottom one. How do I know what I need? I've already got the top set, so now I just got to line up the holes. And voila! And then you want to take the jam nut and jam them tight so then the rods can't turn on you. When I'm on the other side and I have the handle and this turns, it pulls this one, pulls that one, which then opens up the lock so that we can go up and down.
So unlike this one, where I walk all the way over to one side, clink, clink,
You're going to be
and
one.
this is only a 2-post. Yeah, this one I'm not having to run around to every single corner. I only have one. Oh, man.
Another thing that makes a lot of people feel safer. This is what's called ALI certification. That's the Automotive Lift Institution. And what that is a third-party validation of the lift. So you're not just believing me as a salesman telling you this is a great lift. This is a third party that has done all this testing on this lift. So when I tell you that these cables are burst rate at 22,500 pounds, they've been tested. Now, Faye, that's 22,500 per cable.
Per cable.
So it's 90,000 pounds combined for a 9,000 pound lift. So we're 10 times over what it needs to be.
Whoa.
So, but they have validated it. They also share in the cost of our liability insurance by them going through the certification. So that's a big deal. And there's a lot of lifts out on the market that do not have that, and it's something to look for when you're purchasing a lift. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing we did a minute ago.
Yep. Lather, rinse, repeat.
So we have the bolt, the washer, and then screwed into the lock. All right, so now I've got to attach. You saw this was a short rod. We put a short rod there, but it's open the middle. This is going to be our single point. So when I open this, it'll open that. So I got to attach the two short rods. We got the two shorts, and then this is going to go in the middle, and that's what we're going to use then couplers and nuts that we took off a minute ago to make it one piece. So what I got to do is I got to go fishing, run this through the tube, and about halfway inside this box tube, there's another one of these round guides. Can't just guess it. So what I do is I take this and I go up and down until I'm up and down, and then I find it right there. And then I back it up just a touch, and then raise it, and stick it in the tube.
Here it is. Jam nut and coupler.
Okay. And so we'll tighten up these jam nuts to make it solid. So when I pull this in, it's going to open that in as well. But I got to set this in first before I tighten up my rods over here.
Right.
So now what I'm going to do is just tighten this up to where I get it to where I don't have any slop. So again, now this side, that one was just past noon. This one's going to be just before noon. And so
11:30. No.
right. That's all right.
Looks like 11:15ish. We're good.
Now on this bottom one, the bolt is too long to when I go to open this, the nut hits the bottom of this bracket. So I've put an extra nut in there to shorten it. And so the first thing I'll do is I'll put a nut on here, because I could say bring one shorter bolt, and then that's not going to get in the package. So
Yeah,
it's easier
exactly.
just to put the shim in here and solve the problem. And then that is in the position it needs to be at. And now we'll go underneath and tighten the jam nuts up to that coupler. When we get this running, we'll open it up, and that'll open all 4 locks from one location.
Oh, killer.
Voila!
Ta-da!
The locks are assembled. You get options of where you want to put your power unit. Most of the competitors, you're going to put the power unit on the outside of this post, and it makes it wider in your shop. And then all of a sudden you happen to walk around it and it's taking up room. And so what we did is, you noticed earlier in the video, that top cap, one of them had 4 holes in it. Well, that's to match up for our plate that we're going to put up here for our hanger. And I put 4 because I can either mount it to where it's this direction, I can mount it to where it's on the inside, no wider or no longer than the lift, or it can be mounted to where I'm out this direction here. Totally up to the customer. It makes it so simple. Faye has decided to put this on the inside, so it's no longer or wider than the lift is in its structure. And guess what, Faye? This is threaded as well.
What?
So look at that. We just thread it right into the top cap.
Oh, man.
Which is so nice. And then what I do is I put a little washer that's going to shim this bracket to keep it out of the way of the bucket as it comes up and down the post. And then while I'm up here, I'm going to go ahead and put in our cables. So we're going to insert the cable into the hole. And then I have a flat washer, a nut, and a nut. And to start with, What I want to do is just make it flush. The reason we put 2 nuts on this cable is that the pull is going down for us. So we have 2 sets of threads that it's got to pull through for strength. Is the only reason we put the 2 nuts on the top, just for a safety factor for the customer. And later we're going to show you how to adjust the cables, and this is where the adjustments will come for the deck to make everything level to your floor.
We're gonna hang the power unit. We got our 4 studs there.
That makes it where I don't have to stress to hold it up there while I'm getting
Yeah,
it
totally.
at the same time.
Hydraulic oil, AW46.
So we are filling this to where we get just to the minimum line, and then we'll undo our funnel. So now what we're going to do, you'll see the oil's going down, but the lift's not moving. The reason for that, the oil is going into this, filling up that cylinder. That cylinder is a big, long 80-inch cylinder, so it takes a little bit of fluid to get in there before it starts moving. So that's what it's doing, is transferring fluid into that cylinder at this point.
And is there like a burping or a purge procedure? Okay.
Yep, and we'll see that when the first time we come down with it, it'll blow all the air out of it. We'll see that.
Okay.
We have a big pulley here, right?
Yep.
And then our cable is wrapped around that pulley. This is called a cable keeper. So it goes in here, and I have another threaded hole inside that cross arm that this will go right in here, and I just run it up to where it's kind of almost flush with the cover, and then I'll take that jam nut inside, and I will tighten that up to the cross arm.
Harbor Freight could definitely take a lesson here.
So now look, that cable cannot, because of that bolt being there,
Yeah.
the cable cannot jump off of that pulley.
Exactly.
And that's a problem with 4-post lifts, that has happened over the years, and so that solves it right there. What we're going to do is we're going to purge it. We're going to get the air out of the system.
Okay.
So we've raised it up just a little bit, right?
Uh-huh.
And so what that is, enough to where I can release. This handle here opens the lock. Opens the lock.
Yeah.
Look down there, you'll see the point of that lock down there. So that tells me all 4 locks are open. And then I'm going to release my hydraulic lever here, bring that to me. And then that lets the hydraulic fluid go back into the reservoir. First time down, it comes down kind of slow because of the air in the system.
Right.
So it's got to adjust. It's going to straighten the legs all out as it goes down. Plus,
Right. Oh yeah. It is bubbling.
This is an axle that rotates, so we can adjust that inside the track to where if it was a different manufacturer, maybe their track's a little wider, this allows us to where we can adjust that width.
Oh, so this is universal. It's not just for your lift,
Right.
but this can be used on other ones if other people might have already bought another one and want to add this
That's correct.
feature. Oh, that is so cool.
But what we're going to do is take the snap pliers
Okay.
and pull off a snap ring,
Got it.
pull off this little wheel, because you can see it's just a milled,
Yep.
and then cut out here. So I can take WD-40 or whatever lubricant you want,
Sure.
but I have to do that over and over. You know, especially here in Texas where it gets hot,
Yeah.
it evaporates and it's done. But if you take a little bit of grease and put on it,
Yep. Love it.
that'll keep it moving for a long time without having to redo that every so often.
Killer. Look at that.
Now, this is another difference between us and the competition, is we weld in this J channel that sits in there for strength of track, number 1.
Yes.
And then number 2, all of our track trays so nicely
Oh
sliding
my gosh.
on top of the metal, and it gets cockeyed like this in there. So what we do is I'll position it to where I'm centered, and by what I mean by that is your gap here,
Yep.
I want to have the same on both sides. So it's about like right there.
Yep.
And then what I'll do is I'll tighten one side only, because these rails are not going to be 100% true. So what we do is I keep one side tight so the tray cannot come out, and then this side I leave loose so that these axles float and run on that rail.
Oh.
Roll really smooth.
Pro tip, I would have just tightened them all. And look, you guys, drain plug in the center too. Look, it's so awesome. What a killer design. I am so stoked for this. Oh my God, I'm so stoked for this. All right.
This has got a 4,500 pound rating. So you can put a bottle jack in there,
Yeah.
raise the whole front of the car or the rear of the car.
Oh.
So I'm going to go up till the first lock clicks, to where I hear it. Okay, so that tells me one of them is already engaged. and it's that end over there.
Got it.
And so another way I like to do this is I'll bring this up to use this as a gauge right here, and I want it to be flush to the bottom of any lock hole. It doesn't matter, but this is the one that's close, so I'll use it.
Okay.
And so I'll bring that up. So now that's flush, right?
Yep.
So this one's above it. Well, it's just barely above it. And down here, it's quite a bit. It's a good inch above the slot.
Right.
So
okay.
now I'm going to go lower it. When this becomes flush to the bottom of that hole, then let me know, and then I'll stop. And that tells me how much I need to adjust the other three.
Got it. Almost. Oop. Up.
Right there. Up.
Up a little bit. Yep. Right there looks perfect.
So see, that's a 1/4 inch.
Yep, that one's got a little.
So I got to raise this one. By raising that nut up there, we'll raise this up to where it become flush. Now see, this one's a good 1/2 inch below.
Right.
So that means I got to raise that up a 1/2 inch, and the same, that one's 3/4 of an inch. So we have 2 sets of adjustments.
Oh.
So this one that I've got right now is that cable over there that needs to come up a 1/2. So I'm going to take the jam nut off. Yep.
Looks pretty flush to me.
If the locks are all firing together at the same time, you're good. It's if you start hearing click, 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 then you know something's off, and then we want to do the adjustment to that. Ready?
Oh, that feels incredibly flush. Little more. That looks perfect.
What we're going to do at this point is we're going to put the casters onto the lift to make it portable. How nice is it that you don't have to dedicate a spot in your shop, that lift's always going to be in one place. And by putting on these casters, it allows you to move the lift around. So what we'll do, we'll take a hitch pin, 3/4 inch pin, and we're going to lay the caster down here like this.
Oh!
Just like so. Now, when the weight of the lift comes down, this is going to push this down
Oh
and
my
cantilever the legs right up.
And this is perfect for someone like me who rents my shop, and I wanted another lift, but you know, you don't really want to invest a whole bunch of money in something that's not yours necessarily. So, oh my gosh, this design, that I was not expecting that. That's brilliant. So you don't actually have to do the work yourself to lift it up onto the casters. Oh my gosh. Alrighty, I'm having like, whoo, my brain just exploded.
As they come down, watch how that crossbar sets in that saddle.
Oh my
sometimes
God.
Sometimes I have to align that just a little bit.
Sure.
Just so that caster's going to go inside the saddle.
Yep.
And I'll check the other side as well. By just moving the wheel usually.
Oh, you have got to be kidding me. Oh my gosh, I was not expecting that at all.
Legs are off.
Oh, wow. You guys look, oh! He's just pushing it, oh my God.
Rolls. Nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's about to roll itself out of the shop. It rolls so nice. Oh my God. You guys, that is unreal. I was not expecting that to be so easy, to be honest. I'm surprised. I'm pleasantly surprised. I'm gonna have no problem moving this thing around all by my little teeny self. All right, so we just hooked up the shop air here. There it is. Yup.
Good.
Okay, so we got our release here.
So this handle with the knob on it's going to be released. When I push this toward the track,
Yep.
you see it raises that up out of
Yep.
the cogs that it sets in the locks.
Exactly, yep.
So now I raise this up, then I hit my down button, and now the jack's going to come
there
down.
it goes.
If I wanted to set it on this lock, then I just let go, and
Yep.
it'll go until it hits the lock.
Yep.
Now the pressure's off of here, it's off my cylinder, everything's on that lock.
It's all mechanical, right?
And it won't come down any further until I have to raise it up.
Yep.
open up the lock,
Oh my God.
and then lower the jack down.
Wow.
It's less than 3 inches drive over clearance.
Yeah.
So even your hot rod.
Yup,
Drive
exactly.
over that without any drag at all.
If I can get them in the shop, I can get them on the lift. And then we got these bad boys for the lifted Tacoma. Heck yeah. The lift comes with these wheel chocks.
These are our automatic wheel stops.
Oh!
So this
That
makes it
is,
to where
I love all the
nobody
safety.
else-
I love all the safety measures because I am a nervous Nelly. I'm a high anxiety person.
Take the snap ring off. Pull the rod out.
That is going to be such a stress relief. I'm sure those of you at home know that feeling the first time you ever drive onto a drive-on lift. It's a little nerve-wracking. Look at that.
So when it's all the way down, your ramp sets underneath this, which then flattens this out so you can make your approach.
Exactly.
Now my hand is the ramp, so now I raise the lift up. Now this comes up automatically, so the car, if it got knocked into neutral, it can't roll off of it.
Oh, love it.
This is gonna stick to the metal.
What? Are you kidding me right now? What the heck?
And I like to put them right on the edge like this, so
Yup.
it shoots an X pattern underneath the car, and then the other one's going to do an X pattern this way, and you'll have the best light working on your cars.